And welcome to TSK F1 on this Monday morning. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about Jean Alesi and politics and the French Grand Prix, or lack of it, the Williams livery reveal. Christian Horner's been talking about what drivers can and can't say. And honestly, the big story today is the FIA President about to be sacked. This could be another, I don't know if it is, but it could be another TSK F1 sort of scoopy scoop thing, because this is the story that's going around at the minute. So without further ado, let's get into it. But do please make sure you're hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? So first of all, we're going to be talking about Christian Horner. Now, we've been seeing recently around Formula One that the drivers have been banned from making I think the term in it, personal or political statements. And the sporting code is now the general making and display of political, religious, and personal statements or comments, notably in violation of the general principle of neutrality promoted by FIA under its statutes, would be in breach of the rules unless previously approved in writing by the FIA for international competitions. So any of like the stuff that we've seen recently within F1 where sort of Seb Vettel wearing LBGTQ plus stuff, and his Save the Bees t-shirts and things like that would be against the rules. So what Christian Horner has said is there's a couple of ways of looking at it. That, first of all, sport should never be used as a political tool. And I think that sport, in many ways, is there obviously to entertain, but also have an element of escapism with it. But certainly, we at Red Bull have never constrained ourselves to not have the freedom of speech either, or the freedom of their opinions, or the ability to speak their mind, because they do have a voice. I think it's a matter of finding a balance, and in the world that we live in today, everybody has a voice, and that shouldn't be suppressed. But of course, it does have to be done with responsibility. So we don't want a load of robots that without opinion going racing, but like all things, there just has to be a sensible balance. And that's where I'm at with it, right? That's where I'm at with this whole thing. It's kind of like what Valtteri Bottas said, that he's not interested in politics, but he should be allowed to say what he wants to say. And I think it's important, if you think about the past in general, you shouldn't really, I don't think it's healthy to suppress anyone's right to verbalize something or share something they're passionate about, obviously, unless it's something that is inciting violence or some kind of hatred or anything like that, okay. And not based on opinion, that actually is a driver going out there and saying fight people or something. That's not a thing. We shouldn't do that. But honestly, a driver going to Saudi Arabia and deciding they're wearing a rainbow coloured helmet, I'm all for that. That they don't even have to say anything, right? They don't even have to say anything, but they're getting the point across. It creates conversation, and it is what it is, right? The same could be said about many things that have gone on in Formula One, and it's just a curious thing. I thought for a long time, really. I do agree that it shouldn't be used as a political tool as a whole, but also we all have opinions. You do, I do. You have your own views on different things, and I would imagine a lot of you have shared them before in one way or another. And I really don't understand why we hold sports people to a level of accountability that we don't hold ourselves to, you know? And it's important as well, you know. I think as a wider thing, I'm digressing a little bit here. I'm digressing a touch, but as a wider thing, if you hold one belief, just because someone holds a different belief, you can't silence them, because you're never going to move forward. You know, if their view is genuinely ignorant or something like that, then you have to have a dialogue to move forward, don't you? If you're silencing something, then you're not learning. Both parties aren't learning, and you're not moving forward together. So while I do sort of agree the entire sport shouldn't become this political facade of nonsense, awareness to certain issues, I'm not against that because, I'm careful about it in my own streaming and what I do, but I should be less careful with it. Craig saying sports shouldn't be used as a political tool, but but individual sports people should be able to raise issues important to them, and that's where I'm at with it. You guys would, and that's there's a hypocrisy to it, in my opinion, that everyone wants their opinion to be shared, and they want to make everyone aware of their opinion and stance on something until someone famous has the opposite opinion, and then they don't want to see it anymore. And it doesn't work both ways. It doesn't work both ways. It's one or the other. I apologize if I'm really bunged up and stuff, guys. I've been super ill these past few days, and I still am, really. Let's go on to the next thing here. Jean Alesi. This was a bit of an interesting one that I just stumbled upon this morning. Jean Alesi has been speaking about the French and F1 and having a race there. Now, I'm of the opinion, really, that there should be a French Grand Prix because the French have a long and proud history within motorsport and Formula One, especially, be that as drivers, be that as manufacturers, be that as race hosts. They have a long and great history within Formula One. But he has been speaking to motorsport.com and saying the problem with Formula One in France is not the circuits, but the politics. It's probably the only F1 Grand Prix that has never had a president come to watch it, except for the one time at Manicourt, when Mitterrand was there as part of his political wish for the race to be there. It never happened again. The problem is not the circuit, but the desire within the country. My other job as a Formula One ambassador, so I have a direct link with Formula One without fuss, and they are very clear about that. F1 probably has 32 countries in the world at the moment asking to host F1 races. The last Grand Prix we had here last year was very popular with the people, so it's a shame to lose it. Having a French GP looks good on the F1 calendar, but we don't have the opportunity to do it because the country is not interested in motorsport, and that's a great shame. It's not a problem for F1 to hold a Grand Prix in France. The fault lies with France itself. Of course, part of my new role will be to send a letter to request a meeting with the President of France, but I don't know if that will happen. If it does, we can get the French Grand Prix back. I'd be the happiest man in the world. And it is an interesting one that, I literally don't know any French people, but that does surprise me. Now, is it a political France is not interested? This is, I suppose, this is what he's saying here, right? Because he's saying the French Grand Prix was very, very popular with the people, but France aren't interested. So I guess it's at a government level. They're not interested in holding a French Grand Prix. They've got no interest in F1. Whereas I think there's quite the opposite with football, right? Because I feel almost certain that the French president was very active on Twitter and actually attended French games within the recent World Cup, right? The Football World Cup. So maybe Jean is talking about political that way, which, not that he's saying that, would make me think races at Paul Ricard and Manicourt maybe had state funding and was subsidized by the state, the French government, and that they weren't running on their own. Now, I'm almost certain that in the UK, in England at least, that's illegal here. It's illegal for the government. Say Silverstone was not going to host F1. I believe it's against whatever rules or legislations for the government to step in and give Silverstone money, because then it shows favoritism, and then they'd have to go give Donington money, they'd have to go give Cadwell Park money, whatever money, So I think there's a rule against the government getting involved, I think. I'm nearly certain, but maybe it works in France differently. I suppose the finances involved means that you need the government support regardless of what country it's in. Shame about France, though, because I like Paul Ricard. Yeah, but I think it's different in this country, Craig. Now, I have seen people basically complain about that it is different in England or the UK. I don't know where the rules are, but I'm sure when I've forgotten what it was called, but the Welsh circuit to host MotoGP and things, they were on about it, and then about getting state help, and the government refused because Silverstone immediately said they'd want help as well to host Formula One. So I think there's political rules against it in the UK, but I really am not 100% on that. But it's an interesting one because I think there should be a French Grand Prix. I think it's not just the race though; it's the infrastructure that's needed, even visas and stuff like. Okay, yeah, you're probably right there, Craig. Yeah, I just don't think the government in the UK can be seen to be helping. Okay, the facility, shall we say? I'm sure that at that level there is help in the ease of teams in and out of the country, maybe, and things like that. Which I think through COVID they had special sort of bubbles made up and things like this, didn't they? But there we go. What do you think? Should there be a French Grand Prix, guys? What do you think? If you don't miss it, you don't miss it. I know a lot of people weren't fans of Paul Ricard. I like it as a racing surface, as a circuit. I agree it looks like a car park. I prefer the track to race on than Manicourt, but I probably prefer to watch Manicourt because it looks more like a traditional circuit, right? But that's my stance. Now, today, big shout out over there to Shreya Nayar for these concepts that we've been getting throughout the pre-season here. Today, 2 o'clock, I have it. 2 o'clock is the Williams launch. Now, I'm going to look to be able to stream this for you guys. It's apparently going to be available, so I'm going to try and give you guys a live reaction to it. I'm not sure if I can stream it and just have my head over it. Yeah, they can't give money to Silverstone. Competition regulator would be all over it. Yeah, I wasn't. I remember reading about it, mate, but it confused me. I'm not going to lie. So the Williams launch is today, 2 o'clock. I'm really hoping to be live for you guys. I'm not sure whether I can just stream it and like co-stream it and put my face on it and commentate over it in silence. I don't know. But that's what I'm going to do. And if I get taken down, I get taken down. That's absolutely fine. But I should be fine, I think, with my head over it and me talking on mute and things like that. Excuse me. I'm very sorry. So 2 o'clock today. Keep your eyes peeled on this channel for that. And I will hopefully be live for that, guys. All right. But this is the big news today. This is the big news for me today. Because I saw an article on Formula1news.co.uk and I was like, okay, is there any substance to this? But the detail they go into with this is, well, there's quite a lot of detail, right? So if you don't know, that is FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem, and he is on thin ice, right? Because I just need to have a quick drink. Sorry, guys. Because he'd been quite outspoken about the price of Formula One and bids going in for Formula One and how much it should be worth. And then, out of nowhere, Liberty Media, came some quotes that he had basically against females from 2001. Look, I'm going to say this. I was careful on Twitter and stuff, but I am going to say this. While not saying I have the same views at all, because I don't. All I'll say is the year is 2023. So these comments were 22 years ago, right? 22 years ago, I'm almost certain on some subjects I had stupid, ignorant views and probably said stupid stuff. At what point, this is away from Formula One, really, but at what point do we stop this? You know, genuinely, you know, you see it in politics, and I suppose this is a political move. and you see it in life. At what point do we not hold someone to account for an ignorant view? You know, I can't think of something right now, but I can honestly say in the last 22 years, I've grown as a human being in my views, in my thoughts, in my worldliness, and everything. And I'm certain on certain things that I can't name right now because I can't think of any that my views have changed. Right. So why is it like we hold everyone to account on the internet in the world these days for something said years and years ago? Is that right? Is that right? Have you stayed exactly the same for the last 20 years? You know, I'd argue I'm not the same person as yesterday, right? It is possible for people to evolve their understanding of certain subjects. Now, look, I'm not defending him in particular. That's just a commentary on modern society that I think it does annoy me when it's like this thing has happened, back and forth, but they said this 20 years ago. It's like, come on now, you know. But anyway, on to the actual subject. Because he's been so outspoken about the sale of Formula One and things like that, Formula One bosses are pushing for the FIA to sack. They're pushing for the FIA to sack Mohammed there as the FIA president. Now, about his sort of sexist comments, I think is what they're calling them unacceptable. They have said a letter to the FIA president from Liberty Media said any individual or organization commenting on the value of a listed entity or its subsidiaries, especially claiming or implying possession of inside knowledge while doing so, risks causing substantial damage to the shareholders and investors of that entity, not to mention potential exposure to serious regulatory consequences. To the degree that these comments damage the value of Liberty Media Corporation, the FIA may be liable as a result. Look, nothing he said was wrong, in my opinion. All he said was, don't just throw money at Formula One. The FIA gets a say. We need a plan. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? I'm still failing to see what's wrong with what he has said. I've read lots and lots of quotes, and everything that he seems to be saying on this subject is we want to preserve the sport. We want to make sure it's okay going forward. And yeah, it's confusing to me. And it's only rumors anyway. But they said about his comments, the remarks, the FIA said that I suppose it depends on if he still holds those views and his reaction to previous views. If there's no contrition and learning, then I think you can be judged on. No, I agree. I agree, Craig. If you publicly say you still hold those views, then of course, I'm just saying, despite what lots of people seem to say, I truly believe people can evolve and grow as people, because I did see. Am I still live, guys? Can you just let me know, because my connection seems to have gone haywire. Can you just let me know if everything's still running okay? I apologize for this, but everything seems to be going a bit haywire. Could you just let me know in the chat there, guys, please, if you can still hear me all good and things? Everything's gone a little bit mad, my end, saying I've got no internet. I'm worried I'm not. Hello? Keeps dropping out, yeah. There's not much I can do. It's not too bad. Okay. Well, I'll continue with my points then. I'll continue with my points. Where were we? Let me just find it. So the FIA have said the remarks in this archived website from 2001 do not reflect the FIA president's beliefs. He has a strong record on promoting women and equality in the sport, which he's happy to be judged on. It was a central part of his manifesto and actions taken this year, and many years he has served the FIA vice presidency for sport to prove this. And you know, I'd kind of be in agreement with that, honestly, from what I've seen. But now this is the bit that got me, because the headline was Mohammed Ben Sulayem to be sacked with replacement being prepared. Now, I don't like to go along with such things unless a viable replacement is actually being lined up, right? And Formula One News.co.uk say, reportedly, former Benetton and BAR team principal and former Motorsport UK chairman and ProDrive chief David Richards is already being prepared to replace Ben Sulayem, should Liberty Media be able to prove the FIA president's wrongdoing. And you know what? That guy has got a serious CV. And I think it's possible, because it's really easy to say who would get it, who would be the FIA president, who would do this, who would do that. And you know, I feel like it's possible. I think it's possible. What do you guys think? Now, it'd be interesting to see him as the FIA president, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's been I feel like this chap here has been railroaded because of what he said about Liberty Media, and it's just a money thing. But look, I can see that my connection is all over the place, and I don't know why, guys. So I'm going to have to say, probably. Oh, it seems to be no, it's gone funny. I'm probably going to end the stream there, guys, because I think it's killing viewership and things. So I'll end the stream there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really sorry about the connection issues. I don't know why it's done that. And I will be live later on today with the Williams unveiling. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Cheers, guys.